Go live, yeah. Okay, we are live. Good morning, hello, and welcome to This Date in History, aka TDH. This show is about what happened today throughout the annals of recorded history. Join us as we delve into yesteryear, not only for interesting and important happenings, but to possibly even answer questions you don't know you have. Granted, that's happened to us here many times. So anyway, the sources of this information come from the Smart Device application Today in History, What Happened Today in History, Historical Calendar, and the website onthisday.com. I gotta edit that because apparently one of those two apps no longer exists. It's kind of a weird thing. I've checked that the link leads to, both of those two app links lead to the same app, so I gotta do some fixing. Anyway, I am Xander, and today I'm joined by
Golden Loon.
Yep, and of course UVRU. Today is Woden's Day? Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay. November 22nd, 2023. Thanksgiving is tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, for
special day today too for the show because you're usually not on Wednesdays.
Yes, that is true. And I had to do a show today because there's one major historical event that happened on this date, and then there's another one lesser known but still pretty interesting.
Nice.
And then of course there's everything else. So anyway, without further ado, let's start us off. In the year 498, Saint Symmachus began his reign as Pope, replacing Athanasius II. And we spoke actually yesterday about a Pope. Yesterday was the beginning of his reign, but he only lasted for 40 days.
Whoa.
Because, whether he died or got voted out, whatever. But then all the cardinals and everything, they had to start the whole process again.
Yeah.
So it's only been 40 days. What the hell?
They don't get voted out. They can retire, but they generally die.
Yeah.
Stay there till death. Some do retire.
Yeah, like Benedictus.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know you can quit being the voice of God. That's not a thing. But apparently it is. Anyway,
maybe you retire to get a better job.
Well, usually when you retire from that position, you're retiring from all positions.
Yeah.
So, anyway, moving on up to 845, we have the first king of all Brittany. Nomino defeated Frankish king Charles the Bold at the Battle of Boulogne near Redon. So the first king of all Brittany. So
okay.
Yeah. And it's not Arthur, King of the Brits. From Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
No.
You ever saw that?
No.
What?
No.
I've seen a movie you haven't? An old movie you haven't?
Yeah.
What kind of tomfoolery is this? Anyway, 1346, street fights in Utrecht. Hollands and Grutterlingan statements.
Wow.
What the hell is that? Let's look that up here really quick. Get rid of
Utrecht first off.
Utrecht is a city. Oh, Holland, Gesnon, Garlington statements.
Okay.
It's some kind of statement. But Utrecht, we've spoken about Utrecht several times before. It's a city in the Netherlands.
Okay.
Right here.
Okay.
Known for its medieval center, it has tree-lined canals, Christian monuments, and a venerable university. The iconic Dom Toren, the 14th century bell tower with city views. So 14th century. This has been a while.
Pretty old history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As of 2019, 1.307 million. So, yeah. We also have 1492, the ship Pinta. The Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria.
Yeah.
Under Martin Alonso Pinzon, separated from Christopher Columbus's fleet. And I wonder why. That's
I didn't know that.
Kind of weird. I didn't know either. So let's see if there's. Here we go. Martin Alonso Pinzon. Okay, here we go. On the return trip, the Santa Maria was wrecked, and the captain of the Pinta sailed off on his own to try to beat Columbus back. Oh, so it was an ego thing. So he was trying to defeat Columbus getting back from, and this is their first voyage.
Yeah. 1492.
And I think I remember something about the Santa Maria running aground momentarily or something. There was a little hiccup at some point. But anyway,
don't stay back and try to help. Jeez.
Apparently not.
They got adios, suckers. What's up?
Hey, it's you discovered a new world. You have information that nobody else does. If you can beat the person who's leading your expedition, then you get all the notoriety. But then if he survives and he comes back, then
you look really bad.
Yeah.
You left him out there?
What the hell, man? Yeah, but if anybody wants to read more about this Martin Alonso Pinzon guy, I'm going to have the wiki in the underbar.
One of my favorite people.
Yeah. We have another explorer here. In 1497, Portuguese navigator Vasco da Gama rounded the Cape of Good Hope on his way to the first voyage from Europe to reach India. So this is after they figured out, okay, if we go that way, we're hitting a whole nother continent that is not India. Let's try the old theory, you know?
Good Hope is all the way down at the bottom.
South
right?
America,
Yeah.
South Africa.
Yeah. That's a dangerous voyage.
It is. Well, that's the only way they could get, because the Suez Canal wasn't around yet.
Panama. Well, Suez.
Yeah, Suez. Panama is the Americans. But so the only way, because this is why Columbus and many other explorers wanted to just go west to go around the world and reach India from the other side, rather than go all the way around, because that was theoretically going to be, because there already was trade, land trade, and sporadic sea, goes from port and then port, but one hit, specific, ventures to go from India to England with no stops in between, that was really unheard of back then. Kind of like how long tail flighting wasn't really a thing until 1960s or something. So 1542, Spain delegated new laws against slavery in America. Okay, so that's good. All the way back in the 1500s, Spain leading the charge. Pretty interesting. 1570.
And yet Spaniards brought their slaves to America. They were the first slaves here. They weren't in America. They brought them with them.
Well, see, this is what I say all the time. When you look at people committing bad things, if they're not continuing to commit bad things, don't demonize them for having done things. Understand that they've figured out that what they've done is bad, and they've learned those lessons. Now follow suit in their path and learn the lessons without committing the crimes.
Fix it. Fix it.
Exactly. So stop blaming all these people and all that stuff for things that happened 300 years ago. Start understanding that people make mistakes, and then people learn, not just on an individual level, but on a social level, societal level, cultural level. People learn, people evolve slowly, but it happens. And right here, you said, Spain. Here's a prime example. Spain was the first to bring slaves to the Americas. Mm-hmm. Well, eventually they figured out that was not cool, and now we have in 1542, barely even 100 years after the Americas were even founded, barely even 50 years, 1490 to 1540, not even 50 years. They're already being hey, this is not cool. Now they make new laws against slavery in their Americas. So, learn from these people. Don't demonize them. Anyway, 1573, the Brazilian city of Niterói was founded. So if anybody lives in Niterói, I know I'm not saying that right, but yeah, that's an old city. 1573.
Sure is.
Yep. 1574, we have the discovery of uninhabited Juan Fernandez Islands off Chile by Spanish sailor Juan Fernandez, later famous home of maroon sailor Alexander Selkirk. This inspired the Robinson Crusoe story.
Well,
cool. That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And we spoke about was it Monday or no? You weren't here on Monday.
No.
Was it Sunday then that it was the inspiration of Moby Dick? We spoke about that, or was that Monday?
I don't recall.
I think I spoke about it with somebody, so it must have been Alice with me on Monday then. But there was like some whaling ship got attacked by a sperm whale, and then only like 18 men out of the 20 or whatever, I don't know, like only a small amount, a handful survived through cannibalism.
Ooh.
So, I mean, you're stranded out at sea. What are you gonna do? So, you got to eat. Same thing with the Donner Party,
Well, the big question is, did they kill people and eat them, or had they died and they figured for us to survive we have to eat them?
That requires some deeper diving into that rabbit hole that we do not have time for on the show, unfortunately. Right. But if anybody wants to answer that question, please, I encourage you to go into the comment section and, say your piece. If you don't know but you want to say, well then, go learn and tell us, it's a mutual thing. We're teaching you, you teach us. So, anyway, 1765 here, with the English King Charles II adjourned Parliament, beginning of the long prorogation, Parliament doesn't resume until February of 1677. So 2 years. That's a long jury.
Yeah.
That's a long time
Let's
to be on recess.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they're getting paid the whole time, right? Yikes. 1699 Treaty of Preobrazhensk, Denmark, Russia, Saxon, and Poland divided Sweden. That's interesting. Oh. 1714 King Carl XII left Turkish captivity to return to Sweden. So that's 15 years after that, and that's interesting, because Sweden, like, we know them as the neutral powerhouse they are today, and that's just because of their geography, like they're just blessed with all those mountains and valleys and gorges and passes and all that stuff. If it wasn't for that, they would not be able to do what they're doing politically at all, like, period. So
didn't Sweden I got NATO and Sweden combined.
Oh, God.
Sweden, didn't they just join NATO?
I hope not. Did Sweden join NATO? Let's hope they didn't. So not much. Sweden and Finland became partners of NATO in 1994, and have since became. So.
I who I'm thinking of.
Is Sweden a member of NATO now? July 5th, 2022, NATO signed the Accession Protocol for Sweden to join NATO. That is not neutral.
That was just last year.
That is not neutral. So, but yeah. Well, that's kind of worrisome right there. Yikes. 1794, we have the Strasbourg Alsace-Lorraine prohibit circumcision and wearing of beards. I guess I'm breaking the law twice. But one of them I can get rid of. The other I can't regrow skin, so, like... 1809, Peregrine Williamson of Baltimore patented a steel pen. Well, that's interesting. That's I think that's at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, really, when steel was really becoming like manufacturable. So it's just like, oh, what can we use this now abundant product for? I'll make steel pens, like.
Yeah, I'm not sure of how that coincides with steel, but it was a major breakthrough. It's so much strong because before then they could only use iron, I think, which is much weaker, much weaker.
Yeah. 1842, Mount St. Helens in Washington erupted.
What year again?
1842. It's not the big one from the 1980s.
That. I just wanted to see how long ago that was.
1842.
Yeah.
So quite a while.
Yeah.
That's interesting. It was an active volcano.
Almost 300 years.
300?
No, 200.
200. Yeah. Almost. We're getting there.
Yeah.
So it's 180 years, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So, 1864, during the U.S. Civil War, American Civil War, the battle at Griswoldville, Georgia, ended after 650 casualties. Griswolds. Hey, that's literally the only reason why that article is up there.
Yeah.
Griswold.
Can't even see the line, can you, Russ?
Russ. Kiss and kid. Griswold family Christmas tree. Let's see here. 1864, Union General O'Howard orders plunderers to be shot to death, which I agree with. While there's a lot of these, campaigns going around, like any war throughout any time, but it also happened in the Civil War. Even in Sherman's March to the Sea, military comes in, conquers a town. Mm-hmm. What do? They start mistreating the women, they start looting, they start plundering, they start burning, they start, also because they don't care. They're in a war. They're woo party time, Well,
it's usually afterwards, and then all the plundering starts.
Well, that's why.
A great example is the Civil War. The North coming down from the South. They even called them something, carpetbaggers.
Yeah. Well, carpetbagging is more of a political thing.
Yeah. Well, they came in and they were, trying to.
Well, a carpetbagger is somebody who goes out and
take advantage of the situation down there. Let's put it that way. That's what it means to me.
I don't know. Hold on. Carpetbagger. I'm under the assumption of a political candidate who seeks election in an area where they have no local connections. A person from the northern states who went to the South after the Civil War to profit from the Reconstruction. You are correct. A person received as an unscrupulous opportunist. So we both were right.
Yeah, it's all three definitions. I've never heard the one you referred to.
That's the one I knew of.
And that's the only one I have heard of. Okay.
So, yeah.
It's quite a broad meaning to it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Interesting, yeah. The more you know. But yeah, no, like he ordered the plunderers to be shot to death, which I wholeheartedly approve. Like even if it's your own soldiers, you don't want to leave a bad taste in the mouths of people that you're conquering. You know, like because you're already conquering them, they already don't like you. Now you're looting their stuff. Oh hell no! No, you gotta be tactful.
Well, your goal should be to normalize everything and be in control. And you're just outraging people when they come in and plunder them.
Yep.
You know, so you're doing everything bad that you can do to make the situation to your advantage.
Yeah, it reminds me of a lot of a current situation happening right now. But anyway, 1886, Victoria Street cable tram route began in Melbourne, Australia. So cool, streetcars, you know, in Melbourne.
So I thought you were going to say Victoria's Secret.
Well, I know Victoria's Secret. And girl, you wouldn't believe she's some old dude living up in Ohio making money off you and me. Actually, those are lyrics from a song.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But yeah, no, Melbourne, Australia, like Victorian era,
Yeah.
like
yeah.
1905, British, Italian, Russian, French, and Austro-Hungarian fleet attacked Lesbos. Lesbos. I know I'm mispronouncing that, but like that. There's an episode in South Park, and it's mimicking the 300 plot, like the movie 300, and everything, and it's about female super fur females gym, and that's actually this is the actual name of their gym, and it's pronounced a word that I'm not going to say on air, but they pronounce it les beaux.
Oh.
So, but it's, you know, I'm going to mute the mic.
I didn't connect that.
Well, you don't watch South Park, so
True.
you don't really know, you know. Anyway, 1906, Peter Stolpian, Prime Minister of Russia, introduced agrarian reforms allowing peasants to withdraw from the communities and take their share of land for private ownership. Hell yeah! Yes! Hold on, where is my cheer button? Which, by the way, I've officially ended my Nitro, so I gotta find another program to do the soundboard, because the soundboard is Nitro only. So once my Nitro ends, I'm out of a soundboard.
Yeah.
But yeah, cheers for the peasants. Yeah, for the little guy. Hell yeah. 1908, we have the first U.S.-Japanese baseball game reached All-American defeat, Wasua U 5-0. So the first baseball game, and we, oh my god.
What?
I can't think of a better analogy of how hard this country is failing than to lose its pastime the first game we played with a foreign nation. That's our pastime. Baseball is America's pastime.
Wait a second. Didn't it say we won 5-0?
No, we lost to Japan.
Read it again, and I missed.
Oh wait, no.
Americans defeat.
Oh, yeah, wait, I did misread. Okay, okay, I screwed it up.
You it wrong.
I screwed it up.
No.
Okay.
No.
Wait.
You read it. Americans defeat.
All Americans defeat Wasuda U 5-0. So the United States did win. Okay.
You flipped it.
Okay, yeah, my brain. 1910, Arthur Knight patented the steel shaft golf clubs. So there you go. Now you can, four harder.
Yeah.
You don't want iron golf clubs that'll bend. Oh, a divot. Oh, damn it. 1918, Grand Duke Frederick II, the last Grand Duke of Baden, resigned. So the last Grand Duke. So yeah, an end of an era. While that was going on, Marshal Zosif Pilsudski became the first president, later dictator of Poland. Yikes. So, what year was that? 1918. I'm all over the place. Here we go. This guy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he was elected and then he became dictator. Very much like somebody today. Oh, yeah. They just celebrated his 81st birthday with a cake inferno. 1919, 15,000 men were cremated at Domela Nieuwenhuis, Amsterdam, and that has to be bodies from the war. Like, millions of people died. You can't bury everybody individually. You have to just dump them all in a mass grave, unfortunately, burn them, something. Yeah. So 15,000 men are cremated at once. That is, whew.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but 1919, Labor Conference Committee in the U.S. urged an 8-hour workday and 48-hour week. All right. And that's,
Did you notice a 48-hour work week?
8-hour workday, 48-hour work. So that's 6 days
off.
Yeah. So that's when back when people work Saturdays, like your dad.
Yeah, he. I remember him telling me he remembers when Saturdays went to a half day. You got half a Saturday off.
Wow.
It's a big deal.
And nowadays, you'll be lucky to get 3.5 days because of all the corporate crap and
Now
all the legislation.
They're talking about working 4 and paying for 5.
Yeah. Let's see here. 1922, Library Avenue in Bronx was named. Okay. So, yeah.
The Bronx Gazette or what?
No, the Bronx. The Bronx,
I know
yo.
it's the Bronx, but what's the name? The library in the Bronx is named.
No, Library Avenue.
Oh, is
the
that
street.
what it is? Okay.
They named the street.
Oh, the street.
Yeah,
Okay.
so, you know,
I
like,
wasn't listening. Okay.
Well, it's a weird article because, you know, like we don't really talk about streets getting their names.
Yeah.
You know, it's not really a thing. But, you know, that's why I say interesting this is an interesting event. Like, you know, who documents when a street is named?
Yeah.
Well, apparently somebody did with Library Avenue, and here we are, you know, 101 years later, and we still know about it. That's pretty wicked.
Somehow I missed the avenue. I got library.
Yeah, Library Avenue in Bronx was named.
Yeah, see, I got library in Bronx name. What was the name? I missed the avenue.
It was named Library.
Yeah.
1923, Calvin Coolidge pardoned the World War I German spy Lothar Witzke, sentenced to death, later deported to Germany. I'm not sure about that, you know, because like when you talk about spies, you know, this is 23. Okay, the war has been over for 5 years now.
Yeah.
Statute of limitations, but how many people did his actions get killed? You know, those are still dead, and
Well, we
I
don't
don't know.
understand the motivation for sending them back. You know, you have to look into it in depth to see what the reason is. Because to me, right off the bat, it makes no sense.
Yeah, so if anybody knows more about this or figures out more about this,
Coolidge is one of my favorite guys, so I gotta kind of question what his motives were there.
yeah. You know what? Let's do a quick. Why did Calvin Coolidge pardon German spy then deport? I spelt that completely wrong. Lothar Whiskey. This could pardon a raccoon. What the hell? He wasted no time. He misjudged the recipient. Coolidge took one look at the fat female raccoon and fell in love. Apparently, he pardoned a raccoon one year instead of a turkey for Thanksgiving. That's kind of weird. Okay. That is something I didn't know I was going to stumble across. I'm going to add that link in the underbar description section for post-show. But I'm not finding anything about...
Never heard of this, but I don't like it on the surface, that's for sure. The reason why I like Coolidge so well is because he was a big believer in shrinking the federal government.
Hell yeah. There's an OG libertarian.
What's an OG?
Original gangster,
Oh.
you know? Like, I guess.
Yeah.
Moving on up to 1926, Imperial Conference ended, giving autonomy inside British Commonwealth. So that included, you know, Australia, I believe New Zealand, Canada, the British Raj, India.
Okay. Yeah.
So, you know, like giving them autonomy, so allowing them, you know, certain powers within themselves to govern and conduct themselves on the road to independence.
Yeah.
So, 1927.
That's huge, actually.
Yeah, it is. 1927, the first snowmobile patent granted to Carl Aliensen, Sainer, Wisconsin. Ah.
In Wisconsin.
Yeah, I know someone from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
1927.
They don't admit it though.
Snowmobile. Yeah, they keep saying they're from
Minnesota, don't you?
Minnesota, yeah, but you know we know the truth. Yeah. But you look at that, the first snowmobile.
I'd love to see a picture of it.
Yeah.
And then you got
hold on, let me bigger this. Here we go.
Thing.
Here we go. That's as big as I can make it. But yeah, that's the first snowmobile. It must not have been going too fast, but still, you know, that's really cool.
Yeah, it is.
Can you imagine in 1927 out there ripping the snow?
I don't know if you're ripping, but driving around it is something.
Back in the day, it'd probably be considered ripping.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So. What else do we got here? 1927 as well, the Belgian government of Henry Jasper fell, but was reformed the same day.
What?
So, a government collapsed, but hey, we're back. Remember us?
Yeah.
I forgot my hat. Oh, while I'm here. 1930, we have the first first Irish sweepstake run. What?
Irish sweepstakes.
Irish sweepstakes run.
Yeah. No, not were the Irish sweepstakes. They used to have one a year.
Okay.
So it was the first one that they ran.
Irish
horse race.
Hospital. Oh, okay. I did not know that.
I remember my dad, and you could bet on it worldwide. I remember him putting in $1 or something.
And this is why I have you on the show, because you are living history. Like, not in a bad way, in a good way.
Yeah.
You know? I'm not knocking your age. I'm actually praising it.
No. But I mean, it was cool. I remember my dad, because he'd win $1,000 on $1 if he should happen to win. I don't know what it was.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was the Irish sweepstakes. They're a horse race.
Huh. Well, the more you know. And while that was going on, we have the first U.S. football game broadcast to England, Harvard 13, Yale none.
See, that's college. So.
Yeah, yep.
Football was nothing. College was everything.
And by football, we're talking about, like
American football.
Hand egg football, not soccer.
Yeah, right.
So, well, actually, back in that time, you know what?
This was football.
No. When was soccer changed to football?
It never changed.
In the 1980s. How soccer became an American name for football, the different names for the sports began to grow popular across Britain and the world as they spread overseas. Smithsonian Magazine reported that British fans ended up choosing to call the sport football in the 1980s due to Americans choosing the word soccer. So, well, soccer, it was called soccer originally because it was a British invention and they initially called it soccer. And then,
But wait a second. When I was in high school, it wasn't a sport yet, as far as like football or basketball or baseball. But we had a soccer team, and it was a soccer club. And they did play other schools.
Yeah, but they changed it from soccer to football in the 1980s. Before the 1980s, there was no football. It was soccer.
Oh, okay.
Like worldwide.
What? No.
Yes. They right here. Soccer became a name for football. So, when was it soccer changed to football? Hold on a second. Soccer.
I thought it was football around the world.
No, hold on a second. The origin of the American word soccer. Okay, here we go. Okay,
this has got to be only here, because I think it's been football all around the world.
In the early 1800s in England, football and rugby existed as different variations on the same game, but in 1863 the Football Association was formed to codify the rules of football so that aristocratic boys from different schools could play against one another. In 1871, the Rugby Football Union followed suit. The two sports officially became known as Rugby Football Association and Association Football. These new rules were slow to spread to America, where another version of the game was evolving, one the rest of the world would know as American football. So at the same time, our hand egg football, which is called football because the ball is a foot long. So
and
the foot is based off of a British monarch's size of his foot. 1 foot. The king's foot.
No, I got all that.
So the imperial system is based off of the anatomy of body parts of a former leader of England.
But it was changed in the States to
soccer in the 1980s.
To
soccer in the 1980s. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I thought that it was always called soccer, but
no, it was always football.
Anyway, 1930 as well, Elijah Muhammad formed the Nation of Islam in Detroit. Oh, there's that. 1934, Santa Claus is coming to town. First heard on Eddie Cantor's show. So all the way back in 1934, they've been breaking the cardinal rule of nothing Christmas before Thanksgiving. Like, if you're in the rest of the world, okay, fine, I understand. But out here in the United States, if you're playing a Christmas song and it's before Thanksgiving, you need to get hit by a snowplow. I don't care, Like, it's illegal. Especially with all the Christmas decorations being sold in August. Hell no. And also, I note to myself the history of the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. You know about that?
No.
It was actually a giant marketing campaign.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I believe it was invented by Macy's. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Origin. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer first appeared in 1939 when Montgomery Ward Department Store asked one of its copywriters, 34-year-old Robert L. May, to create a Christmas story the store could give away to shoppers as a promotional gimmick. So the bottom line is the story has outlived the store.
Yes,
but it was still created.
Monkey Wars is no longer exists.
But this is how but how damned the entire holiday and religious thing has been completely taken over by corporations. A beloved, cherished childhood thing was actually started as a marketing campaign.
Yeah.
And Santa Claus, actually, as we all know, because Santa Claus is based off of...
Field?
Hold on, I'm getting to that.
Oh.
Saint Nick, Santa Claus, Saint Nicholas, is based off of an actual real person who actually existed. Documented evidence of this person having existed. But the depiction that we know today and love, that we know and love today, is actually based off of Coca-Cola's marketing campaign.
Yeah.
So the universal depiction of Santa is all based off of Coca-Cola. So we have two things, most likely more, for almost a century now, has been a staple of the holiday, and it's corporate.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Yeah. That's kind of sad.
Sorry, I didn't mean to step on your story there.
Well, no. It's fine, and I'm actually happy that you remembered it.
Yeah.
That's what I want. People need to know these things. Like, I don't want to be the only Sheldon Cooper. What do you think you should say Coca-Cola? Did you know Santa Claus was an invention? 1939, Bugsy's... Actually, no, hold on a second. 1935, the flying boat China Clipper took off from Alameda, California, carrying 100,000 pieces of mail on the first trans-Pacific airmail flight. All right. That's cool.
Yeah, it is.
1939, Bugsy Siegel, Whitey Krakauer, Frankie Carbo, and Albert Tannenbaum kill Harry B. Greenberg outside his apartment after Greenberg had threatened to become a police informant. Yeah, you don't do that to the mafia. You don't threaten... What was he think was going to happen?
Yeah.
Like, of course you're going to get whacked. Come on. Stupid.
He was one of the instrumental guys in really establishing the... Las Vegas Strip.
And you really think who, Bugsy Siegel or the guy who got whacked?
Siegel.
Okay. Well, that makes sense then. I was gonna, it doesn't matter. Like, you can be the Don of the mafia. If you pull a card like that, you're gonna get whacked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, 1940, 500 students in Delft demonstrated against the Nazis. That's not a lot of people, but yeah. Oh, and speaking of Nazis, 1942, Adolf Hitler ordered Rommel's Afrika Korps to fight to the last man. Yeah, he did that quite a bit. He was actually notorious. That should be his nickname, Adolf Last Man Hitler. I mean,
well, Rommel was the Desert Fox, right?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Patton's yin to his yang or whatever. His rival.
Yeah.
So, 1943, the British Royal Air Force began air bombing of Berlin, Germany. So that's when, we had aerial superiority, winning the war, all that stuff. 1943 as well, France officially recognized the independence of Lebanon, releasing the imprisoned Lebanese governments. All right, I agree with that. We also have the Cairo Conference, in which FDR, Churchill, and Chinese President Chiang Kai-shek, who later fled to Taiwan, met in Egypt to discuss ways to defeat Japan. Yep. So that's interesting. They had, FDR, Churchill, and Chiang Kai-shek. Yeah. That explained it. I was wondering why, because there's United States, there's United Kingdom, and then Cairo's way over here. Why are both we? But Chiang Kai-shek, he's coming from the east, so that is a middle area.
Yeah.
Cairo. So that makes sense. And I think this is before we were really allied with Stalin. I'm not sure.
43? No, we should have been. When was Stalingrad?
Well, not Stalingrad, but
we were allied with him
when did the USSR join the Allies? June of 1941. Okay, so it's already been a couple of years. Never mind. No.
We let Schick down.
Yeah.
After the war. He really needed our help. He begged us for it. And
they still need our help, and they're begging us for it, and we're still...
Yeah.
We've been a turncoat to them for, almost a century.
And Mao Zedong took them over.
Really sad. Which, by the way, there's a movie out called FDR, American Badass, and it's a really bad movie. It's about how the Axis powers are all werewolves, and how FDR got bit by a werewolf and developed the disease polio. That's how he got polio, was a werewolf bite. And then he's like running around on a wheelchair with like machine guns mowing down Nazis. I gotta see it. It looks hilarious. What else do we got here? 1954, the Humane Society in the U.S. formed in Washington, D.C. Okay. 1955, RCA Records made its best investment, paying $35,000 to Sun Records for Elvis Presley's contract. That is a very wise decision.
Yeah. Sun blew it.
Yeah. 1956, the 16th Summer Olympic Games opened in Melbourne, Australia. This was the first to be staged in the Southern Hemisphere and in Oceania, as well as the first to be held outside of Europe and North America. So 4 firsts in one hit. Wow. That's cool. 1957, Simon and Garfunkel appeared on American Bandstand as Tom and Jerry.
As Tom and Jerry, I didn't know that.
And see, like, you know, as the saying goes, you know, like, you know, we all know about Tom and Jerry, the cartoon.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They had to change it for that.
Now,
they started, you know, ragging on the cartoon.
Now, when you're a child, you root for Jerry because, you know, he's the mouse, he's the prey, he's the victim. But when you're an adult, you realize Jerry is an asshole. Jerry is an asshole.
He does egg the cat on, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Like, you know, most of the time, like, you know, the cat's just trying to mind his own business. He screws with him.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude,
I know.
leave Tom alone. Like, leave him alone, dude. Like, seriously, there came a point in time where that switch was flipped, and ever since, I hated that cartoon. I couldn't watch it. It pissed me off. Like,
all of a sudden you realize you were rooting for the wrong side.
Well, I'm not even rooting, but, you know, I obviously stopped rooting for that. But, like, I see that, and I'm like, if I ever met somebody like Jerry in real life, I'd punch him in the throat. You know? Like, seriously.
I had no idea they were introduced as Tom and Jerry. That is wild.
Yeah, well, there you go. You know, like, you know, things you didn't know. That's the point of this show.
American Bandstand. You know, I remember that show well.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it a whole lot, but yeah, that was Dick Clark.
Yep. 1959, the American Football League, the AFL, conducted its first draft in Minneapolis with the 8 clubs selecting their players' rosters for the inaugural 1960 season. So there you go, the birth of, you know, like football going from college to professional.
No.
Oh.
That's the American Football League. The NFL, National Football League, was already well established. This was a branch off. We're starting our own league.
Oh, okay.
And eventually they melded together.
I got things backwards. I thought the AFL was first and NFL came second, and then the AFL went to the...
No, NFL, National Football League, is always... Now it's the NFC, AFC, their conferences.
Oh, okay.
And East and West, some type of thing. And then they play for the Super Bowl.
Which, by the way, have you seen the Key and Peele sketch, East versus West Bowl?
No.
There's 2 of them. They're hilarious. Higo McCringleberry, Penn State Penitentiary. Anyway, what else we got here? 1960, French National Meeting decided to build their own nuclear weapons. Well, they are a nuclear nation, you know, as is Israel. 1960, St. Louis producer, or St. Louis hawk Bob Pettit. I'm screwed up. 1961, producers Albert R. Broccoli, what a name, and Harry Saltzman announced expensive publicity campaign to make Sean Connery, James Bond, a star. That's right. There was a whole thing to get the whole James Bond thing off the ground because it wasn't popular. Like it was a whole campaign, and eventually it gained steam, and now it's this juggernaut that we know today.
Yeah.
So, but
Sean Connery wasn't the first, was he?
Yes, he was.
He was the first,
and he was a no-name. Like, you know, back then, you know, the whole thing. Like, he was, you know, ground floor, no name, no notoriety, nobody knows anything about it. Oh, hey, come and watch this movie. Come and look at it. Who the hell is Sean Connery? You know, nobody knew.
To me, and still, he is 007.
Well, he was the original.
So I thought there was someone before him that didn't really catch on.
Well, you know what? Because
I may be wrong.
Well, it wasn't catching on. That's why they did this publicity. First, James Bond. Sean Connery played the big screen's first James Bond in Dr. No, 1962.
Okay.
Before it was even a James Bond franchise, it was Dr. No.
Okay.
So.
Okay, and then Goldfinger was the
biggie. Yep.
So but Sean Connery is 007.
Yes, he was.
I know there's been hundreds of others, but I can't get by Sean Connery.
He is the original.
He was that good. And I grew up with that. So.
Yeah. Well, you grew up with the original.
Yeah.
Lucky you. Let's see here. 1961 as well. St. Louis Hawk Bob Pettit set an NBA record, hitting 19 of 19 free throws. Woo!
Yeah, Bob Pettit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great one.
Shaquille O'Neal can't hold a flame to that.
At the sports arena in California, which no longer exists. It was over there by the Coliseum. I saw him play, and I think it was he played for the University of Ohio, if I'm not mistaken. I saw him in a tournament out there.
University of what?
Ohio!
Thank you.
I think it was Ohio. I'm not sure. He went on to be a great pro basketball player.
Yep. 1963, Lyndon B. Johnson was sworn in as the 36th U.S. president after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Okay, this is weird. They don't have this sequentially correct.
No.
1963, U.S. President John F. Kennedy was assassinated by Lee Harvey Oswald while riding in an open-topped motorcade in Dallas, Texas. And then Lyndon B. Johnson was sworn. How can you know?
You can't have it backwards. I don't care. It's on the same day, obviously.
Yeah.
But you got to get them in the right order.
That's
such a huge mistake.
As a history source, you have to be historically, canonically, in line. Yeah. And you want to know even the bigger annoyance about this?
What?
Okay, you have this Johnson, that's first, okay? You have this Kennedy. In between, you have a damn Beatles article. Why the fuck is the Beatles before Kennedy's assassination? What the hell?
Well, you could be before or after, but the two you can't flip. You can't flip those two.
Yeah, no, you have to have one before the other. You have it
now,
backwards.
The Beatles you can put anywhere you want. I don't care.
And in 1963, the Beatles released their second album with the Beatles in the UK. Okay, whoop-de-doo. So, but yeah, no, like, what the hell, man? So... moving on up to 1965, Miss Goodall and the Wild Chimpanzees, broadcast on CBS, watched by 25 million people, brings Jane Goodall to international attention. Yeah. She went out there, spent time with the chimpanzees, groundbreaking scientific discoveries, with primates and everything.
Yeah.
So, which, by the way...
How they socially interact. She really showed a lot of how they interact socially and all that stuff.
Yeah, we are not very different. And actually, there's been, training simulations and such in which, for example, a behavioral construct. They had 6, 8, 12, whatever, an amount of chimpanzees in this enclosure. And then they had a bucket of bananas on top of a pillar with a ladder leading up to it. What happened was, every time a chimpanzee tried to go up to get the bananas, the other chimps started fighting them, to get to the bananas first. And the people went in, and before any of the chimps got any bananas, they picked all the chimps and put them back down and all that stuff, sedated them, whatever. And then after a time, they took one chimpanzee out and brought in a new one. And the new one first, went to get on the ladder. The rest of the chimpanzees started beating him up. No idea why. And then eventually down the line, they replaced more and more. And then it got to the point where there were no original chimpanzees, but none of them went to the bananas because they knew that they would get their ass kicked, but they didn't know why. Simple social constructing. It's that easy. And humans are no different. Yeah. Generationally, you get, social norms, what's taboo, what's not. I was literally just thinking about it, what was the first human to wear a loincloth? What was the first monkey to wear clothes? How did that become normal? That must have been not normal. Look at the loser wearing pants. What a loser. It's like, oh, well, that's fashionable. Okay, now if you try to be naked, you'll get arrested. How did we go from one extreme to the other? And granted, thousands of years, but still the same conditioning. What was perfectly natural at one point is now, oh, you horrible nudist, keep them away from the children.
All I can say is I'm glad you're fully clothed because I don't want to see that body.
Feeling is mutual. Okay, at least I'm not all saggy. Hey, you want to swing at me? I'll swing back.
Good for you.
I'm
not just swing and miss, but that's beside the point. Give it a shot. Good for you.
You're right. I'm not aiming low enough. I got to kick down, not up anymore with you. I love you. 1965, Mitch Leigh and Joe Darien's musical Man of La Mancha, starring Richard Kiley, opened at Anta Washington Square Theater in New York City, running for 2,329 performances, also winning 5 Tony Awards. That is incredible. Oh, that's a lot of performances.
Yeah.
1967, the BBC officially banned "I Am the Walrus, Cuckoo Cuckoo" by the Beatles.
Me and I am you forever.
By the way, do you know why he put that in there?
No.
Actually, hold on a second. Before I continue on with the origin of "I Am the Walrus," it was instead included in the soundtrack of the Magical Mystery Tour and first released as the B-side to "Hello Goodbye." That's hold on a second. What was the story behind the song "I Am the Walrus"? Lennon wrote the song to confound listeners who had been affording serious scholarly interpretations of the Beatles' lyrics. So he did it just as a troll, just to screw with people trying to actually take me. Because you know the whole thing about like the writer of a book, the curtain is blue. And like the literary teacher, the curtain is blue because the writer is feeling sad and trying to portray. No, the writer is saying the curtain is blue because the curtain is not red. You know, it's that simple. There's no subconscious, like interstellar, magnificent, theory craft he's trying to put into a set. People try to take things out of things for no other reason. Yeah. So he put in the whole "I Am the Walrus" part just to screw with people. Literally, that's the reason.
Bob Dylan would do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because everybody tries to really analyze his stuff.
Oh, wow. But anyway, in 1967, the BBC unofficially banned "I Am the Walrus" by the Beatles due to the suggestive lyric, "Boy, you've been a naughty girl, you let your pants down." So I would understand why. That's really risque right there. And unfortunately, I can't even say that word on air because it sounds too much like a very bad word. But, yeah. 1967 as well, Mel Brooks' first film, The Producers.
Ooh.
You know, we saw that in Hollywood, remember? We also saw it in theaters with the hand outside of the curtain.
Yeah.
So,
the movie's a great movie.
Starring Zara Mostel and Gene Wilder, of course.
Yeah.
Has a disastrous film premiere and is almost shelved. Later goes on to win an Oscar and achieve cult status. Wow.
I had no idea it had a bomb when it opened up.
A lot of these big things actually first start off as bombs.
Yeah.
You know?
I guess
it's not good. Oh, here's something that you'll probably laugh at. 1967, silver hit a record $2.70 an ounce in New York. Oh man, cheap. Today.
What's even crazier, the Hunt brothers, and I can't give you a date exactly, but it's probably in the 70s somewhere, I would guess, decided that silver should be a certain percentage of gold. And I don't remember what that was, and it was way too cheap. So they started cornering the market, and they drove it up to still all-time highs today, right around $50 an ounce.
Wow.
And they're just accumulating all this
wealth.
They're cornering the market. And Mexico says, "Thank you very much." They dumped on the market, and it just crashed. And man, did they lose! Oh, did the Hunt brothers lose a ton?
Hell yes. You know, that really makes me hope that Putin destroys the De Beers Company, because diamonds, it's all artificial scarcity. Diamonds are a very common thing. They are not rare by any stretch of the imagination. They're literally just dense carbon. That's all they are. But they're super expensive because of De Beers having a monopoly on the diamond. The whole engagement ring thing, just the aspect of giving somebody a ring to get engaged with them, and on top of that, the price. It has to be 1/3 of the man's yearly salary, all part of a marketing campaign by De Beers as well to increase their profits. But everything involving that section of marriage is all malarkey.
Yeah, you're right. But diamonds, the rarity comes with purity and the skill of the craftsman to cut it.
Yeah.
That's where the rarity comes.
Yeah.
But you're right. So much of a superficial.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And see, what's crazy is, and I bring up this whole De Beers thing, is because, and I don't remember the exact semantics, but at some point, De Beers and Russia were butting heads, and Russia recently, not recently now, but at the time had recently discovered a huge amount of diamonds and stuff and say, hey, back off or we will destroy you. We will flood the markets and you will have nothing.
Yeah.
And they backed off.
Yeah, they have.
So, yeah.
I think what they did is they opened up their vaults. It didn't say anything. It just kind of vague. There's a vague threat. Look what we have. We can bring all this out.
Yeah.
And flood the market. Like
Yeah.
you're saying. And the deer said, "Whoops."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Learn your place, De Beers. Let's see here. 1967, United Nations Security Council passed Resolution 242. Israel must give back occupied land, which they never have. So they just keep growing, as I keep saying.
That's not true. Anyway,
Yes, it is. Palestine doesn't even exist on the map. Come on. Anyway, 1968, first interracial TV kiss, Star Trek, Captain Kirk and Uhura. So there you go. First interracial, black and white. Actually, no, was it black and white or black and green? Captain Kirk and Uhura. Was Uhura the black person or the green person? Images. Okay, it was black and white. Okay.
But who was green? I don't know. A green.
Well, there's another interracial kiss. There's a green alien.
That's why
I don't
I didn't
remember.
answer. I'm trying to think of who the heck was green. I don't
What
recall
was it?
that.
Green alien Star Trek kiss. Let's see. Oh, this one. Okay, it was Captain Kirk and this one here. A green woman.
Okay.
Okay.
She wasn't a regular though.
No, but
It sounds
still.
like she was in an episode.
But because that's why I got confused. Because especially with attitudes at the time, just to for the mucky mucks and the TV producers to stick it to the black people, they would consider this to be the first interracial kiss, but it's not. Thankfully, the first interracial is actually a real interracial between black and white, real races that exist, not black and green. So you get what I'm saying. There's a lot of and hatred towards certain people.
And kind of the sad part of that, a very minor sad part, is it has to be noted. It shouldn't make a bit of difference.
Well,
but I mean, obviously, with history and the way it is, it has to be.
I agree with you that it's sad that it's noted. At the same time, it's also
that's what I'm saying.
It's serendipitous.
Yeah.
So, 1968, the Beatles again released the Beatles, their White Album, their only double album.
Yeah.
All right. 1969, isolation of a single gene was announced by scientists at Harvard University. That is incredibly, groundbreaking. Why is it not highlighted on our source? That is incredibly, big. Isolation of a single gene?
Yeah.
Holy.
Huge.
That's frightening. 1972, in Pittsburgh, the Penguins set an NHL record for scoring the fastest 5 goals in 2 minutes and 7 seconds in a 10-4 win over St. Louis Blues. Wow. Okay, what were they fighting? A bunch of kids? Holy wham, 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 wham! Come on. While that was going on, the Philadelphia Flyers defeated the New York Islanders and started then on a 15-game winless streak. So they won this, and then they were defeated for 15 games straight. That's kind of painful.
That hurts.
Ouch. 1972, the U.S. ended a 22-year travel ban to China. It's a double-edged sword. I'm all for allowing people to come here, but nations that have, bad wishes towards, other nations will use this as a way to infiltrate people to come in. I mean, case in point, that one Chinese nationalist scientist who worked for NASA, they for 22 years, he was leaking, classified documented space shuttle parts, launching procedures, whatever he can get his hands onto, to the CCP. For 22 years, they found he started on day one. Day one, immediately started leaking. And then that brings into the whole thing, the whole aspect of what we did to the Japanese during World War II. I agree, it was horrible, but at the time, I cannot say that there would have been any better of a solution. Not saying I support it, just saying the Japanese internment. You don't know who's a spy because they took advantage of our good nature, of our melting pot.
Yeah.
Our greatest strength is also our greatest weakness, our tolerance, our acceptance of others, who are not akin to us. Okay, come be, the melting pot and everything. Well, those with bad intentions will take advantage of that and use it against us, and they have, for all of time. So,
yeah. Again, I always say you can't look back in history and judge it.
Yeah.
It sounds horrible, and it just really bothers me.
Yeah.
But the part that is even a crime on a crime is when it was all over and said and done, and everybody comes back, they lost their homes, they lost their boats, they lost everything because they were big fishermen down there in Santa Monica. They lost everything. They never got it back. Never got it back. Now, how does that work?
I agree. It's awful. You know, and like the
it's
outcome
bad
is
on
completely
bad.
awful. I don't agree with the outcome. Like I 100% like I do not
I
support.
also understand what you're saying. But
I mean, like,
hard to swallow.
put yourself in those shoes. What else would you have done? Like, the enemy is using our greatest strength against us. I'm sorry, but you all have to be, detained until we can figure out a better plan. I'm sorry. Anyway, here we go. 1973, Italian fascist organization Ordine Nuovo disbands. Good. Yeah. So, we don't need any fascist crap ever. 1974, the United Nations General Assembly recognized Palestine's right to sovereignty. Right there. So, where's their right to sovereignty now? So, even back then, the United Nations, said that they had a right to sovereignty. Where is it now? So,
it's in Palestine.
it doesn't exist. So,
well, who's living? What do they call it? Who's living there? And
it's not on the map.
Hamas is running it. That's sovereignty.
Hold on a second. Maps. Let me show you.
I know what you're saying.
On Google Maps, which Google is buddy with a certain people out there. Palestine is not on the map. They have see right there. We have Lebanon, Jordan, Israel, Egypt. Where's Palestine? It's not listed. That's what I'm saying. Injustices need to be acknowledged. Anyway, 1975, Juan Carlos I proclaimed King of Spain as a monarchy restored after 31 years. Good. That was after Francisco Franco died.
Okay.
You remember Franco?
Yeah, of course.
Led the Spanish Civil War and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, 1976, Algeria Constitution went into effect. Cool. And while that was going on, the comic strip Kathy by Kathy Greasy-Witty debuted. Kathy, hold on a second. Let me.
Is that the really dumb one?
Yes.
And I'm not one to judge because I don't like comics.
Let's see here. Images. I want the image.
Yeah.
This one. Here. Like. You remember the Sunday Funnies when I was a kid?
Yeah.
I came down, I read the Sunday Funnies with you, Mom.
Mom,
the
not
news.
me.
Well, Mom had already read them, then I read them.
And
You were reading sports, Mom was reading whatever the heck she was reading. But then I turned the newspaper turned into a family thing. I joined in, read the comics and everything, and Kathy was one of those comics.
Okay.
So, 1977, regular Concorde passenger service between New York and Europe began. All right, and I was talking about it yesterday. Mahmoud flew on the Concorde once.
Yes, he did.
No, one of my uncles. So.
Yeah. It got him there really fast, but he said it was a really uncomfortable plane.
Yeah, well, I went into that as well. Like, when it is a pioneering thing, luxury and comfort is not the priority.
Yeah.
If you look at images of, the very first flying, like commercial jets, it's literally just a bunch of wicker chairs haphazardly tossed into the fuselage of a container aircraft. That was the first consumer, flying people,
Yeah.
And the first trains were the cars were literally just emptied and cleaned out like ore cars that you stood in.
Yeah.
And then they later brought in a stagecoach type design for the train cars and whatnot.
They made it better.
Yeah.
Better.
But the very first, you stood in literally a freaking coal car.
But the other trouble with the Concorde was it would break the sound barrier and it'd be a big boom, and people didn't like that around the airports.
Yeah, that too.
So they had another problem with that. So they were banned from a lot of airports.
Yeah.
For the sound barrier.
1977 as well, U.S. President Jimmy Carter, the peanut farmer, presented engineer Peter Goldmark with the National Medal of Science for his work in communication and entertainment technology.
His wife died just the other day.
Carter?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
Is Carter still alive? Oh,
yes.
yeah, he is.
Yeah.
No,
all
right.
She was 90-something. He's 90-something.
Yeah. Well, rest in peace to Mrs. Carter then. So. 1980, Georgia tanker at Pillowtown, Louisiana, spilled 1.3 million gallons of oil after an anchor chain caused a ship to leak. Yikes. An anchor chain? What happened? Did it rupture a tank? How does an anchor chain do something like that? That's weird. 1984, Fred Rogers of PBS Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood presented a sweater to the Smithsonian Institution. Don't you want to be my neighbor? Yeah. 1985, the largest swearing-in ceremony, 38,648 immigrants became U.S. Citizens, not senators. Became citizens.
Probably do a better job.
I can't say no. But yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap. And with that said, it's kind of concerning that they might try to break that record today. So, like, oh hey, you want to get all these illegals out? Okay, well now they're all citizens. Boom, take that. Damn it. So, 1986, 20-year-old Mike Tyson became the youngest heavyweight champion in boxing history when he stopped title holder Trevor Berbick in round 2 at Las Vegas Hilton to earn the WBC title. Oh dang. Yeah, he defeated a guy so old his photo's in black and white. Dang. And 1986, Edmonton Oiler Wayne Gretzky became the 13th NHLer to score 500 goals.
The great one.
Yeah, one of the absolute greatest in all of hockey.
Yeah.
Still, only the 13th to score 500 goals. So that goes to show how many people, how many greats came before the great. So, at least in that context, Like,
well, yeah, but he went on to score a whole lot more goals.
Oh, definitely, but I mean, still, like, he's only the 13th. Who cares about the 13th? Who cares about second place, let alone 13th? If you're not the winner, you're the loser.
Well, they're he's the great one, so they're pinpointing milestones in his career.
I understand. What I'm saying is, like, like the simplistic view is, if you're not first place, you might as well be in last. Mm-hmm. Well, he's the 13th one to score, 500, but he's Wayne Gretzky, Yeah. So, Anyway, 1987, Jack Sikma of Milwaukee ended his NBA free throw streak of 51 games. Yeah, I'd like to see Shaq try that. 1987 as well, NFL New England Patriots shut out Indianapolis Colts 24-0 at Sullivan Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts. And when did the Patriots sign what's his face? Brady. When did the Patriots sign Brady? 2020. Oh, so wow, the Patriots actually won legitimately. That's kind of weird.
What do you mean won legitimately?
Well, I mean, like, good old Tom deflated balls, Perry, not Perry, Tom Brady. Yeah, he won because the ball was deflated. Remember?
No,
or something?
they make a bigger deal.
It's such a
right, but
such a cheater.
You can't.
Cheater, pumpkin eater. Oh. 1987, 2 Chicago television stations were hijacked by an unknown pirate dressed as Max Headroom. Do you remember that?
No.
Oh. It's more of an internet, thing to be known, but like somebody, and the case is still open. Nobody knows who the hell it was. Hijacked apparently 2. I thought it was more, but it was 2 television stations during a live broadcast of some sports game, and it was literally like, hold on a second, let's bring it up. Max Headroom TV hijack. Let's see. Here's the full, I'm not going to watch the full incident.
No.
But basically, you're sitting there, you're watching whatever it was, you're watching, and then this. Here's the actual thing. So it was The Young and the Restless, I believe, is what they were watching. So there's this, and all of a sudden, boom, somebody hijacked it, and then some random piece of sheet metal, some guy wearing, and the Max Headroom was some character from some other show, so they had some Max Headroom mask on, and but this was on live broadcast at TV on 2 channels. What the hell is this? And they never found the guy, and I think he actually hijacked it again later. And they never found the guy.
Huh.
So, yeah.
What else we got?
Let's see here. 1989, conjunction of Venus, Mars, Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, and the Moon. So the conjunction, all line,
okay.
In space.
Okay.
So you can draw a line from one to the other straight.
Yeah.
So in space, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and then I vaguely remember something about that, like it was going to be some catastrophic event. Some kind of energy or something would happen on Earth. I can't remember.
Oh yeah, all the astrologists are complete nut jobs. Like oh sorry, I act this way because I'm a Capricorn. No, you act this way because you're an idiot. Like don't blame things on your freaking signs. Accept responsibility for your own actions. Let's see here. 1989 as well. Eastern Airlines pilots and flight attendants ended their strike, but most were not rehired. That's not nice. And they're just demanding some, basic stuff. I hate it when companies do this. They refuse and they force them to do things like strike and unionize to begin with. People are people too. They have rights. They deserve, things. Now not every strike is just, I grant you that. But I mean, like, afterwards you're gonna go and, like, not rehire them. That's mean. There should be a law against, things like that. Where I don't know. Now that's putting in government control, and that's against my political beliefs of less government. So I don't know. It all stems towards societal acceptances. Like what we the people do and do not put up with. Like, the products of humanity is only good as humanity itself. But we also have 1989 MLB center fielder Kirby Puckett signed a record $3 billion per year contract with Minnesota Twins.
Not $3 billion.
$3 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, not $3 billion. Holy crap!
I said with a B.
No, I said $3 million.
Okay.
No. And while that was going on, the U.S. 63rd manned space mission STS-33 Discovery 9 launched into orbit. So, by 63 times you put people into orbit, it's just like, it's just another field day. We're just putting. But still, to this day, we still have, problems, with things exploding and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
So, 1990, George Herbert Walker Bush visited U.S. troops in Saudi Arabia. It has to be around the time of Operation Desert Storm, Desert Shield.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Well, yeah, we're already there, so yeah.
Yeah.
It was actually, what was it called? Shock and awe when they went in.
Oh, yeah. Well, we took a playbook straight out of Hitler, the Blitzkrieg.
Yeah.
So, 1991, film The Addams Family, starring Raul Julia, Angelica Hudson, and Christina Ricci was released. All right, good old Addams Family.
Yeah.
While that was happening, the New York Knicks paid Patrick Ewing a record $18.8 million for a 2-year extension. So that outweighs that previous record of $3 million.
Well, that was baseball.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, it's still, record. I'm pretty sure both those records have since been, vastly destroyed. 1992, the Washington Post reported Oregon Senator Bob Packwood sexually harassed 10 women. And we spoke about that actually yesterday on the show. What a name! This reminds a name, Bob Packwood. Packwood.
I got it. Yeah.
Reminds me of what's his face? Anthony Weiner.
Oh yeah.
They're sending illicit pics to people.
Yeah.
Like, what is it with people
Young people.
what? Yeah. Well, what is it with these politicians with questionable names doing things that coincide with their names?
Yeah.
What the hell? I tell you what, though, good old Bobby Boy needs to pack that one away. Yikes. 1992, we got that. 1995, Toy Story, the first feature-length film created completely using computer-generated imagery, CGI, directed by John Lasseter and starring Tom Hanks and Tim Allen, was released.
Boy, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was.
Surprising.
Almost 30 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
28.
Wow. And Tom Hanks is actually getting into some deep water politically. He may have some ties with Epstein. So, 1996, O.J. Simpson took stand as hostile witness in the quote-unquote wrongful death lawsuit filed against him, saying it was absolutely not true. Let's not forget, he wrote a book, If I Did It, and let's not forget that the if. You know what? I'll just bring it up. O.J. Simpson book. I'll just search for that and see if I open image in new tab. What do you see here? I did it. Yeah. Wait, nope. The if is in the I. If. I'm not. It's not an admittance piece. I'm not saying.
It also sells books.
It's also he's
like you went through
so obviously killed them. Well,
here's the deal. This trial was phenomenal. Now, granted, in L.A. it was phenomenal. I don't know about the whole country. But everybody just started following this thing, and it was so racially divided.
Oh yeah.
If you were black, he's innocent. If you're white, he's guilty. It wasn't a racial hate thing or anything, but it was just interpretation what you've had from your lifetime, from the law. It was all those things combined, and it came out in this trial.
And exactly,
It's actually phenomenal.
Further proof that all of this divisiveness is nothing new. They've been trying to divide black and white forever, you know?
Well, this wasn't a trying to divide. That's
oh, yeah,
what
no,
I'm
they were
saying.
using this as a way to get racial hatred and start a race war.
No. That's
Oh,
not
yeah.
what I'm talking about at all. I'm just talking about people's life experiences gave them an answer to this trial, and it happened to be polarized between black and white. You know, I've lived it, and that's really what was amazing.
I'm not saying he's guilty because he's black. I'm saying he's guilty because the
No.
evidence is overwhelming that he obviously murdered his wife and that waiter. You know?
Yeah.
But
yeah, and that's the way I see it. But you go to the black.
Then again, even talking
he
about
didn't do, he
this-
got framed, whatever, blah blah.
then again, with as much as we've said, we might actually get slapped with a cease and desist order by his attorney just by insinuating that he's guilty. You know, because that is a defamation lawsuit potential right there. Anyway, 1999, Elian Gonzalez, Cuban boy at the center of a heated 2000 controversy involving the governments of Cuba and the United States, and his mother were sighted off of Florida's coast by U.S. Coast Guard. So this is when they left Cuba, you know, one of those, you know, on a raft to get to Florida, you know, and he was eventually I think his mom got deported and he was like detained here, and then he eventually later got deported back to Cuba and rejoined his mom back in 2000 or whatever. So,
Yeah.
and I mentioned it yesterday. There's a whole skit on Robot Chicken in which they resurrected Walt Disney, and he sustains himself off the flesh of Cuban children. It is hilarious. 2002 in Nigeria, more than 100,000 people were killed in an attack aimed at the contestants of the Miss World contest. Why? I mean, I'm no fan of any of these, but like, why are you like going out to hurt these beautiful people? You know, trying to strut their stuff. Like, what's the point?
I don't know.
That's
I have no idea.
weird. And people wonder why there's so much, hatred and animosity and stereotypes towards, certain people. So, things like this happen. 2003, the Rose Revolution in Tbilisi, Georgia. Opponents of President Edward Shevardnadze seized the parliament building and demand the president's resignation. That's a coup.
Yeah.
So, 2004, the Orange Revolution. So first we had the rose and we had the orange. What's next? Magenta? Or periwinkle.
Yeah, there you go, periwinkle.
Not a man won, and this audience knows what the hell periwinkle is, but every woman does, and they can point
That's
it.
the greatest bit. And
Yeah.
I've only seen him. That's the only bit I've ever seen on that guy.
I know, the car one, like,
I never saw that.
the towels, remember? He goes off a whole thing about towels.
Oh,
How women buy
that's
towels.
right.
How like
that's
half of the towels.
gotta look at my-
Whenever women buy, because towels, when you buy towels, they're supposed to be nice, soft, fluffy, and everything. Well, if you use a towel a woman bought that has decorative stuff on it, that thing is like sandpaper.
Yeah,
you
it
know?
doesn't work. Whatever that little fancy thing is, you gotta avoid it. It's not a towel. Yeah. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. So 2004, the Orange Revolution began in Ukraine, resulting from the presidential election. So this is when, as I know, and I've said and everything mentioned before in the show multiple times, and I think you brought this to my attention originally. That's when the Western, countries did a whole bunch of shadow government things, started that revolution to oust the pro-Russian leader of Ukraine and bring in Zelensky, the pro-Western leader. So, which has led to all the stuff happening right now. And by the way, officially Ukraine is lost. So
I don't know how official it is, but
it's
I
essentially
believe they have
official. Well, all this stuff, as I've said, all the stuff going on in Israel. Oh, look, a distraction because we're losing in Ukraine, and all the billions we've dumped into that. It would be a massive black eye. So rather than admitting defeat, oh, we have a new thing. Oh, everybody, look over here now. Look over here. So. 2005, Angela Merkel became the first female chancellor of Germany. And what a great pathway for her people that she set. Ugh. I'm not here to say, one thing or another, but all the people who say, certain things that I completely disagree with, involving, who should be allowed in what positions and all that stuff. Because there's a lot of people out there saying, I don't even want to say, want to repeat what they say, but, I believe that, I believe in complete equality. There should be, both men and women in power. Black, white, yellow, red, purple. I don't care who or what you are. you know, if you're doing something right for people, then you deserve to get whatever it is that you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, you get bitches like, you know, Angela Merkel and what's her face, the first South Korean female, you know, prime minister or whatever, like they're setting very bad tastes in mouths and only proving the bad people right in all the wrong ways.
But then you've had some great ones in England, you know.
Yeah, Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah, you know.
So
the point being, and what you're saying is, I want the best person in there. I don't care color, gender, or whatever. Just give me the best person.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes. You know, what does the paper say about their statistics? What are their qualifications?
Yeah.
That is it. You know, what have they done? So I don't care about what they look like, you know, what they promise. What have they done? Actions speak louder than words. 2008, YouTube hosted the largest ever broadcast, YouTube Live. Alright, that's like live stream. So, okay, it was launched on November 22nd through 23rd, 2008. It was hosted by a variety of YouTube celebrities, including the Black Eyed Peas rapper will.i.am, Tom Dickinson of Will It Blend. Oh, Will It Blend! Hey, I remember that. Michael Buckley, the Happy Tree Friends, really? Fred, oh, Fred, Smosh, okay. Esme Denters, never heard of him. Bo Burnham, and singer Katy Perry, among others. Well, I recognize a few of those names. One of them I really wish had never been on air, ever. Fred was just crap. But, yeah. Alright. I miss Will It Blend. That was interesting. The whole Will It Blend series, like this Tom Dickinson, I believe he invented this whole blender system. It was supposed to be the best blender. And he actually, like, the whole Will It Blend series, in order to do a product demonstration, you know, of the thing he's trying to sell, he threw in, like, you know, rocks, he threw in, like, iron pellets, like literally, Will It Blend. Okay. You know, like, you know, to show the like kind of how Phil Swift, to show the power of flex tape, I saw this boat in half. You know, like, you're an absolute madman, you know, and then now I'm on the water, you are psycho, you know, but it works. Like, so he blended, and then he was funny. There's this one thing where he blended a bunch of action figures, like, you know, like He-Man and Darth Vader and Chuck Norris, and then it all blended, except the Chuck Norris action figure rose up from the ashes completely untouched because it's Chuck Norris. So, of course it wouldn't blend. Anyway, 2012 as well, 2 people were killed and 120 additional were injured after a 100-vehicle pileup in a dense fog in Texas. Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's when you just don't drive. Just get off the road, go home, you know? Or I guess a lot of them might have been going home, but still. And only 2 people died. I mean, that's still tragic, but, like, could have been a lot worse. 100-vehicle pileup. Yeah. Wow. I mean, you know, a tanker truck could have blown up and killed, like, 100 people instantaneously. Like, you know, God knows what would have been in there.
I remember seeing pictures of that just for miles, you know.
You know what? Let's take a look at that. Copy, paste. Wow, yeah, this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that doesn't. Yeah, well. Oh, here we go. I mean, that could easily be 100 cars right there.
Oh, probably more. They're only going to get so much in the camera.
Well, no, like, yeah, that's in the camera. That's 100 cars.
We'll scroll down again.
Yeah, well, this is just backed up. No, that it's a visual trick. Yeah. There's a lot more here than what you see.
Yeah, okay.
Like, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm already at 10. I'm only in, like, here. So, like, there's at least 50 cars right there. It doesn't look like it, but there is. So, what else do we got here? 2014, Tamir Rice, a 12-year-old boy, was shot dead by police in Cleveland after brandishing what turned out to be a fake gun in a playground. Pretty sure that sparked a whole bunch of... actually, isn't that the birth of the BLM movement? I believe? Hold on a second. Birth of BLM. July 2013, when the use of hashtag, George Zimmerman. Okay. So Trayvon Martin, that's right. Okay, it was that other incident. But I'm pretty sure, you know, and that was before this, so I'm pretty sure they, you know, flared up with this as well. But I mean, like, you know, it's the other thing. Culturally, you know, I'm seeing videos of these, little black kids completely disrespecting the police. You know, because, you know, culturally, you know, that entire sect of our society, is and justifiably so, because of things that have happened in the past. Like, I'm not saying, has there been, unfair police brutality? Yes. Has there been things against the black community, for centuries? Of course. So I understand why they're at the mentality they're at now, but they got to understand, they got to snap out of it, because they're not helping the situation. They're just expediting things to get worse. Because if you have these kids...
What are you teaching your children?
Yeah, what you teach your children. You have these kids, because there's videos of these little black kids, freaking, like, cussing out black cops. Like literally, sitting, like walking up and accosting them. Starting the interaction. And, like punching them, all that stuff. You're just being... So then, you have a kid... And of course, they're going to brandish, not understanding how it's the severity of the situation. They're going to, brandish a firearm, and then they're going to be suspected of having a real. Because the cops, put yourself in their shoes. A routine traffic stop could really quickly, in the blink of an eye, turn into you getting shot instantly. Yeah. Like that. They are on the front lines. It is a war zone, like even more so than war, because at least the soldiers know what they're getting into. I'd say the police force have a harder job than active duty military people. Because at least the active duty military people know what they're getting into.
Okay, let's move on. I gotta go pretty soon. So
I'm sorry.
Time.
2017, Californian man Craig Coley pardoned for a double murder after serving 35 years by Governor Jerry Brown, longest prison term to be overturned by the state. Frickin' Brown.
Good old King Med.
Yeah.
King of the Med flies.
What an idiot. Yeah, do you want to tell us really quickly?
No.
All right. 2017 as well, Ratko Mladic, the Butcher of Bosnia, was convicted of genocide and other atrocities during the Bosnian War and jailed for life in The Hague. Good.
Yeah,
Just yesterday, I was...
stuff in that.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Just yesterday, I don't remember who it was, but they got sentenced to like 5,000 years in prison.
Really?
Or something. So I'm like, yeah, he's going to be in that cell until the year 7,000, Wow. 2017 as well, Uber admitted hackers stole personal information affecting 57 million people worldwide and paid $100,000 to keep quiet. Wow. So, and Uber really had a serious problem because it was really easy to become an Uber driver, and then people with bad intentions figured that out, and then there's like a slew of kidnappings, murders, all sorts of shady things. And yeah, Uber just if you're doing a rideshare program, be careful. So, 2017 as well, Vanellope Wilkins, born with her heart outside of her body, was the first UK baby to survive birth and operations to reinsert the heart.
Oh man!
Wow. 2018, the Leaning Tower of Pisa's tilt was reduced by 4 centimeters in 20-year project to stabilize it. Yeah.
Yeah, didn't know that.
Yep. 2019, Sacha Baron Cohen said if Facebook existed in the 1930s, it would have run Hitler's ads on his solution to the Jewish problem in speech to Anti-Defamation League Summit. 110% correct. 110% correct. Like, they would. And they essentially are. Like, I mean, like, there's, like, up until recently, like we've always look back at history. How did Hitler rise to power? How did they let them happen? Mm-hmm. And you look around at the U.S., and Europe,
similarities.
And it's just like, oh, that's how.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now you can say it to people's faces today based off of their political leanings and what they believe in right now. You can tell them which side of the fence they would be on back in the 1930s. Be like, oh, hey, you would be pro-Hitler. Yeah. Not even saying, oh, you're literally Hitler or you're a Nazi. No, your actions literally are the mirror of what they did back then. So if you ask yourself or anybody, what would I do in this situation? Well, look at what you're doing now, and that's your answer. Yeah. So, and Sacha Baron Cohen, you know who that is?
I know the name.
It's the guy who did Borat.
Did what?
Borat. Hey, very nice. Hey.
Oh, okay.
Remember that guy?
Yeah.
That one night I was drunk as hell,
Yeah.
So, also, The Dictator, if you ever saw that movie, which is, very topical to today.
I don't remember.
Was it? Yeah, it was the dictator. Anyway, 2020, Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed gave Tigrayan forces 72 hours to surrender before the military began an offensive on regional capital of Mekelle. All right. 2022, an out-of-control rebellion by terrorist groups in West Africa's Sahel area is threatening the entire region, warns Ghana's President Nana Akufo-Addo at security conference in Accra. Okay. 2022 as well, the United Kingdom faces a bigger hit to its economy from the global energy crisis than any other advanced economy, according to the OECD, projected to shrink by 0.4%. What is the OECD? Let's look that up here real quick. OECD, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Okay, so let's add that into the Wikipedia underbar section real quick. And last but not least, 2022 as well. United Kingdom King Charles hosts his first state visit, welcoming South African President Cyril Ramaphosa at Buckingham Palace. Mm-hmm. All right. Cool. And that shall conclude the show. Once again, please check the underbar in the description for any links you may find interesting, including but not limited to all things Omni Coalition. Our link tree takes you to, our tree of links for all of our video sharing program, our social medias, our affiliates,
A lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah, we're not just on YouTube, we're on Rumble, we're also on Odyssey, we're on BitChute, although we only use Odyssey for the Peanut because of their internal crypto system, all that stuff. Anyway, for your dose of Passive Events Daily, we stream every day at 11 in the morning Pacific Time, which is 12 noon Mountain, 1 Central, and 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, respectively. For all of you and all of us, I am Xander.
Golden Loon.
And you, of course, are you. And until you catch us, we are not doing a show tomorrow because it's Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way, if you are celebrating it. Anyone outside of country celebrating Thanksgiving, well, just happy Thursday, I guess.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, well, until you see us on Friday, don't forget to look right and left at every intersection, rate 5 thumbs, and subscribe. Toodles!
There you go.
In stream.